Sit back and listen to this extremely interesting story. All the people in this story are real, and the events, although perhaps slightly embellished, were retold as close to reality as possible. She begged me to let him come and spend time with her until I finally agreed, reluctantly, seeing as she wanted it very, very badly. She was obsessed with Brad and had been, she tearfully admitted, for years. She said she didn't want a divorce, she just needed to be with him. She did not want a divorce. She admitted that she made herself feel good in bed thinking about him, as she lay next to me every night thinking about him. According to her, it drove her crazy. I started obsessing over it myself, imagining them spending time together. She began to describe to me what she would like him to do with her, and strangely enough, I began to get very anxious listening to her. She was infatuated with my friend and almost out of control. She talked about it all the time, describing in detail everything they would do together. She said she wanted to be with him at our wedding for the first time, and would do anything for me if I would let her spend time with him, let him talk to his wife, and agree to give them a chance to be alone. She told me that it pained her to cheat on me and root for someone else, but she admitted that she was excited when he was around, and many times it was all she could do to control herself around him. I finally said I would call him and tell him it was all settled, and he could come and spend time with my wife. Do whatever you want with her, I don't care. She drives me crazy, begging to let you be with her. Please come and be with her, hang out. Just come and I'll let you do whatever you want. As a friend, help me, I said. He was silent, then he finally replied, "Okay, I'll be there tonight. Be gone, give us all night. I will help you out. Thanks, buddy," I said, not believing what I had just asked my friend to do. I drove away from the house at 5, expecting him to arrive at 6. He had said he would stay until morning, that he knew of her interest, that she had told him and asked him to stop by, but he had told her no, that he would only do it with my approval. I thanked him again, assured him I was okay with it, bewildered by her infatuation. He laughed like it was to be expected, like it was standard operating procedure, like it was natural and predictable. Well, of course, he said, she is a woman after all. I was sick. It was actually a secret fantasy of mine for a long time, but it was just a fantasy, and I never thought I'd be safe enough to let it happen. It was true that as much as it excited me to think about it, it was also tearing me up inside. It was crazy, but that's how it was. So as I drove, I was sore but excited. I imagined how they spent their time, but I shuddered at the images. My stomach churned, and my pulse quickened at the thought of where she was and what she was doing. It was the craziest dichotomy of all, and it was killing me. I didn't know exactly what Brad did for a living. I just knew it had something to do with business, and he had worked with computers all his life. I knew he traveled a lot and always had big rolls of cash when we were out together. People knew him everywhere we went, and he was a player at a high level. When I saw her Sunday morning after her night with Brad, she hurried past me as I entered the kitchen door as he got into his car. I turned around and went out to him, wondering if she had been upset. "Claire will be busy next weekend," he said as he sat behind the wheel. I expected to thank him for helping us, but he simply told me she would be occupied. My expression must have looked confused because he went on, "It is just a business arrangement, no need for you to get involved." He said as if he was talking to a subordinate, "It's just business." With that, he pulled out of the driveway and drove off. I went back inside and went into the bedroom to find Claire sitting on the bed. "Was there a problem?" I asked. She said there was no problem and everything went well. "Great. You just spent time with the man of your dreams and you say it went good. It had to be better than good." I said a little louder than necessary. She started crying and I sat next to her. "What happened? Didn't you just have the conversation of a lifetime?" She nodded and said that he was great, that she really had a great time. "So you're crying because you had such a good time with my friend. What am I missing here?" She looked up at me, tears streaming down her cheeks, and smiled. "It is just what Bradley does. It is only business," she said, looking pained. "That is what he said, it's only business. He said I didn't have to worry about it. So what don't I have to worry about?" I asked. "He will pick me up Friday night and I'll be home Sunday night," she said with hardly any emotion. "And what will you be doing from Friday night to Sunday night, Brad?" I said. "No, not Brad," she said, revealing more than she intended. "Not Brad, then who?" I said. "I don't know. It is strictly business," she said, echoing what Brad had said and she had started with. "So it's purely business related to communication, but not Brad." I said. Right, she answered. Brad is in the pimp business. I said. They don't call it that, she said. They are liaison facilitators, pimps in other words, I said. It involves a great deal of money, she said, and very important people. It is what Brad does. He said he would spend the night with me if I would work for him. He made me agree. He made me sign. He said I was special. Did he make you sign papers saying you would work for him? No, that I would not reveal our agreement, she said. It was an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. I cannot reveal what we agreed to, she said. I will get paid a lot of money. My interest was piqued. So how much money are we talking about? I said. $25,000 for the weekend, she said. There were going to be 5 girls and a lot of men. Brad said if I wanted him to be with me for the weekend, I had to do something for him. Then I signed a non-disclosure agreement. I really wanted us to spend time together. You understand, don't you? So my wife stayed with my friend for the night, and she agreed to work for him for the weekend. I was going to call him and fix it. Claire wasn't one of those types of girls, and there was no way she would be with old men for money to pay him for making out with her all night. When I called Brad, I got his secretary and was told she would give the message to call me. I gave my number, although I knew he had it, and was told he'd call me back. It was 2 days later before I heard from Brad. I told him I wasn't happy with him getting Claire to sign an NDA and I would need that destroyed and dissolved. Look, mate, it's just business. Was she unhappy? He asked, as if she couldn't be displeased. I told him that it was not the case, but that she had been tricked into becoming a non-traveling woman. Didn't she tell you how much she was going to make? He asked. Yes, she told me, and that is indeed a lot of money, but this not about money, I said as assertively as I could. Do you know that she can make around $1 million a year if she only works 1 weekend a month? If she works more, it can be quite a bit more. I'd say up to $2 million or more. He said, $2 million. I said, stunned by the number, embarrassedly intrigued by the staggering sum. I was silent for a minute as I processed the concept and the idea of her being paid to communicate. You can't be against her being with someone else for money, he said. You were willing for her to do this to me just for fun, $1 million or more for what she did to me in one night. You are evil, dollars, my friend. By the way, she does it very well. He was absolutely right. I was willing, after some persuasion, for her to do it with another man for free. Can I be ready to live on the big money my wife got for socializing with millionaires? Can I do this for a brand new Lamborghini or Ferrari? Was I so shallow that I could live off the fortune my wife made spending time with strangers for money? Was it any worse than hooking up with an old friend? For sex hits, probably not. When I got off the phone with Brad, after I kind of lost my anger quickly when I ran out of reasonable justifications for outrage, I sat down with Claire at the table. Have you thought any more about his offer? Oh, it's not an offer, she said. I signed the NDA. I guess I am going to work for Brad, she said sadly. Could you do that? I asked. Could you do it for money? She looked at me for a long time without answering. I spent time with Brad just for fun, she said. That's what he said. If I could do it to him for nothing, then of course I could do it for dollars, right? I hugged her and kissed her cheek. We could get a lawyer, see what can be done to get out of the NDA. There must be something, I said. It would cost thousands of dollars, a lot of money, to be exempt from making money. She said quietly, no, I like close communication. I could just accept it and do my best to get through it. I'm just disappointed in Brad, but he told me I'm really good. I could make a lot of money. The smug indignation of objecting to her as an employee on principle was destroyed by my allowing her to be with Brad because she was in love with him, and for no other reason. I was a little embarrassed that the amount of money overruled my objection. However, it was difficult to refuse $1 million in 100 days of work. When the day came she was to go with Brad, she was adamant that we could not waste the money for a lawyer trying to fight the NDA, and Brad's firm had a bunch of top lawyers to fight the suit. We have to look at it that way, she said. It is an awful lot of money for just laying on your back. As she rode off with Brad, I watched until his car turned the corner. I asked her to call me when she got there, then again when her first day was over. Brad told me there was security where she would be, so there was no risk. I told her to call me no matter what time it was. That night I was restless and did not sleep well. At 2:30 my phone pinged and it was Claire. It's not as bad as I feared, she said. The people here are kind and the hotel is beautiful. Communicating is not that difficult. So far, the customers have been young and attractive, so things haven't been so bad. I asked her about the hours and she said they only worked from 10 to 2, so it was not like slave labor. I like the other girls. One is a working lawyer who does this on the side. Two are college girls working their way through school. One is a med student, and one is a housewife. That's me. She said with a laugh. Actually, it wasn't bad, she said. The next night, Claire called me at the same time. I only had one customer tonight. His name is Jimmy, but that's not his real name. He is a Houston billionaire who owns a cable company that sells transatlantic cable production to the government. He is very cute, but he likes some unusual things. I'll tell you more about them when I get home, but I didn't mind any of them even though I didn't do them. It's just business, so you don't have to worry. I will talk to you from the airport tomorrow afternoon. I love you, she said. Claire got home at 3 in the afternoon. She placed two $150 bills on the bed and rolled in it. If I work 50 days a year, I will make $1,200,000 that Uncle Sam doesn't know about. She tossed the bills in the air. I could work that many days with my eyes closed, she said. The man I was with last night. She said Jimmy paid $1 million for his part of this weekend. There were 35 men, that is $35 million made by the company this weekend alone. 100 weekends a year is big money, she said with a grin. I asked if she planned on working other weekends. We couldn't afford not to, she said. That's a house, 2 cars and a dog, as well as a maid, a chauffeur and a masseuse, just for working 50 days a year. She came over, put her arms around my neck and kissed me, then pulled me down on the money, and we rolled in it. She started talking about the strange things that Jimmy liked to do. He ordered me to wear a French-maid costume. She said, he likes feet, so he wants to wash my feet. She laughed. It actually tickled, so I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. One girl was fired earlier because she was laughing like crazy when he was washing her feet. In addition, he likes casual communication, and he is quite good at it. Brad said he was one of the richest men in America, not the US, but the Americas. The next time she went with Brad, it was to Jamaica. They flew out of LAX and left Los Angeles at 6 a.m. and flew to Miami, then caught a connection to Kingston. She called me from the hotel and said it was on the edge of a beautiful lagoon and had a pool as large as our little town on the Santa Barbara coast. She said there were only 5 men there for the weekend and the girls were assigned to one each. The men had looked through their photos and picked their choice, provided there wasn't a dispute over who got who. If 2 men wanted the same woman, the wealth of the men determined who got his pick. The man who picked Claire was named Marco Clark, and according to Brad, is the richest man in Florida. He owns medical facilities throughout the South. He is around 6 feet and has gray hair and looks younger than his 50 years. He really is a sweetie, she said. He asked about us and I told him about us, about our folks. And about Sally. Sally is Claire's sister's daughter. She has spina bifida, a spinal disorder that has left her in need of expensive surgery. He wants to help. His clinics deal with spina bifida, and he'll fly her out there, cover the expenses, and see that she gets the treatment she needs. It was amazing that Claire's work has led to Sally getting the care that she needs that Jordan and Molly couldn't afford. We never expected to have anything positive come out of Claire's working in the trade, but it actually has been a blessing. We bought a new house, 2 new cars, not a Lamborghini, but a Toyota and a Ford, and Claire went back to school to become a veterinarian, as she had always wanted. When she asked to spend time with Brad, I could hardly have imagined what would come of it. It wasn't the easiest decision, but it had a positive impact on our marriage. I became more sensitive to Claire's physical needs and better understood the nature of her emotional ups and downs. I see her as an attractive woman now more than ever before. I saw her as a wife, but not as a person with natural desires who might need more than a man with an income. So ironic that it took her selling herself for me to understand her better, and for her to become a happier, more fulfilled person who feels better about herself. She attends a local college and we owe her work. My wife was a marketer who climbed the social ladder, 1 millionaire at a time. Subscribe to our channel so that your second C gaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story. Because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.